good. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Andrew, I don't know if you are talking, but we can't hear you.
And Matt, can you just say something, please?
I don't hear.
Yeah. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good,
Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah. Hey, Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, looks like Andrew's having trouble with his audio again. He's just reconnecting.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, Andrew.
All right.
Well, the sound check's complete.
I think that's all of us, yeah, too, because Tim mentioned he won't be joining, so that's okay. I think we got everybody here.
All right. Mike, are we doing the recording on Discord now, or are we leaving it up to DZ, who's I see online?
Oh, so we don't. Okay. So we don't have to start the
DZ's
recording.
recording,
Okay, great.
so we should be okay then.
Perfect.
All right. Well, we might as well kick off since we're all here and we're recording. I'll start with the usual foreword, if I may. It's the meeting of June the 11th, and welcome to our 15th recurring TELx Council meeting. The TELx Council is a local governance organisation within the wider Telcoin Association and has the authority over and duties towards TELx operational rules, system health and social well-being. The TELx Council accepts, develops and votes on TELx improvement proposals, also known as TXIPs, which alter or introduce new elements to TELx. The TELx Council also has the mandate to alter TELx harvesting rules and is responsible for representing the general interests of and informing the community in matters pertaining to TELx. These bi-weekly meetings provide several critical functions to our governance. They help provide transparency to our community. They help create structure for our forum. They provide the authors of TELx-IPs the ability to present their proposals to the Council and community and allow the Council members and community to review, debate and refine these proposals to eventually reach a consensus and then elevate a proposal to an approval vote through Snapshot. These meetings also provide a medium for regular TELx ecosystem updates, ensure consistent communications between Council members and the community, and allow the community to directly engage in Q&A with the Council members. In summary, we carry out the following required duties: to plan, finance and coordinate the implementation of improvements to the TELx system, to regulate the flow of TEL issuance through TELx so TEL can be harvested by the liquidity miners, to introduce, alter and enforce TELx operational rules, including harvesting information and communication. We facilitate maintenance and construction of the TELx website and introduce new liquidity pools in order to support the wider TEL ecosystem. And finally, we inform liquidity miners in the wider TEL community of the activities and outcomes related to TELx and results from any snapshot votes. Participation in these snapshot votes are a mandatory requirement for all Council members, and in order for a proposal to move forward, there needs to be a 5 out of 6 majority vote, and all 6 members must vote within 7 days from the start of the proposal being posted to Snapshot. That's the end of the forward for today. We'll now have a short recap from our last meeting. So I think Will's been tasked with that. So over to you, Will, for a short recap from last week.
Okay, so on May 28th, we started with an update on the Uniswap V4 hooks by Amir that gave info to Mike. So the V4 hooks were being tested on chain and ready for auditing, so we could implement this TELx IP. So then we looked at the different audits options we had. So two companies stood out. It was Sparebit and Cantina, and one of the two Sparebits was much more expensive than the second one. So Sparebit was $34,000 when Cantina was 19. So we decided that we would probably go with the Cantina, and then we added that the cost could be potentially shared with the Telcoin network audit that is being done by the same company, and that was to be discussed with Grant. So then we tried to have a web UI update, but we had no news from Khalil, who's in charge of the TEDx website. So we were supposed to get back to the community on that. Then we went on with discussing the TEDx Council operational wallet. At the moment, we council members cannot access this wallet because there needs to be council NFT integration with the wallet to enable us to spend money from it. So actually, the devs are busy with the Telcoin network, as we all know. So for the moment, the TAO is in charge of operating the wallet for now. And we decided that it was not a major issue and it was good for now. So then we went on to discuss the TELx IP from Mike, which is to launch a new pool on Uniswap V4 on Polygon, which would be a Mexican peso USDC pool, a stablecoin pool. And this pool would, in a sense, be a proof of concept for launching the digital remittance corridor. And so in order to launch this pool, we decided to deprecate the TEL poll on Balancer Polygon at the end of next period, which is July the 5th, and distribute the most part of the rewards from this pool to the new pool, which would be 2.4 million TEL distributed monthly. And the rest, so the 377,000 TEL, would be kept in the council wallet for financing audits. That's it. We discussed what the token, the Mexican peso, was. And I guess I won't get in too much into that. And then we talked about the missed rewards from a previous period on TELx. And it was to be followed up with Amir, and the missed rewards were likely to be airdropped to users. Okay, then we talked about the deprecation of the TELBAL and the TELDFX USDC pools on Balancer Polygon at the end of the last period, which was June the 5th. And rewards from these pools will be kept in the council wallet for future financing, and that will help greatly financing the Cantina audit, for instance. And then we finished with talking about the TEDx Council budget management. We wondered if we should use some of the funds in the TEDx wallet to make it work and get some yield from it, maybe enter a pool as liquidity providers, for instance. And yeah, that's it. We didn't get too much into that discussion, and that was the end of the meeting.
Great. Okay, thanks, Will. Very concise. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our agenda for this morning. After the recap, next item is the TXIP updates. As most of you know on the council, but maybe not the wider audience, Amir is travelling this week. I believe he's actually in Egypt. But he gave us an update yesterday, I said last night my time, on the progress of the audit regarding the V4 hooks and particularly pertaining to the rewards and the voting rights that these will enable on the Uniswap V4 pools. If I just read out really what he said, they, meaning Cantina, have submitted all the issues that need fixing with the audit. I am in the process of fixing everything. Everything, so that's pertaining to the audit, should be done by this weekend. Khalil is in the process of multi-chaining TELx and is making great progress. He is just waiting on the audit to conclude so I can deploy contracts for him to test on. I'm in Egypt, so will not be able to attend the meeting today, but want to provide you an update I can share. I will be able to attend the meeting next time, however, as my schedule should be returning back to normal. One point he does make is Uktu, who I believe is the Telcoin's Chief Technology Officer. Uktu has some concerns, though, and wanted me to conduct a second audit. So that came as a bit of a surprise. That's something that we need to discuss as a council. But when Amir gets back, he'll set up a meeting with Uktu to try and establish and understand exactly what his concerns are. But obviously we should give due notice to that because of the nature of what we're trying to provide here. So I don't know how that impacts our proposed go live, which was 1st July. I suspect if a second audit needs to happen and we need to debate the reasons why and understand fully why we need the second audit, what Uktu's concerns are, then there may be a delay to that go live. Anybody else got any input on that?
Yeah, I just did a 15-minute call with Uktu prior to this call, and he has some concerns from the results of the audit about the security of the smart contract. And while we do know what the issues are and Amir can fix them, he feels that a second follow-up audit would be advised because we are talking about some, potential weaknesses within the smart contract that could lead to loss of funds for our users. And so we can fix them, but then a follow-up audit to make sure that we can say that these smart contracts are safe for our users to use. That is his advice. And I agree with that. I know that does come at an expense for a second audit. So basically doubling up our expense for the audit. But I do believe that once we have these smart contracts fully audited and more secure, then going forward, it will be simpler to add additional elements to these smart contracts for new pools, etc.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Mike. It's a risk, a known risk that you undertake when you do an audit, that it might raise some concerns that need to be fixed and then a re-audit. Hopefully it won't be exact double. There may be able to be just check the stuff that's been fixed, but we definitely don't want to take any license with users' funds and open them up for any loss. So we've no option but to follow the advice given by the techies. I think on this.
I mean, you could say that the engineer said feels comfortable and confident that he fixed all of the things, whether that's Amir or any engineer in the future. But I think from a security standpoint, we want to, as a council, we want to make sure that we're putting forth a a product that has passed a rigorous audit, not one that hasn't.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you guys on that. I would suggest maybe let's wait until Amir gets back. Let him have a look at the results from the audit, get a little bit more familiar with it, and then maybe sometime next week, let's book a meeting with Utku and Amir and discuss it as a group openly, and then just get a better understanding. And to Ty's point too, hopefully, if the costs aren't as much as 20 grand again, then I think we move forward with it. Again, the whole point is to have security of the utmost and highest level to make sure that everybody feels comfortable providing to TELx, right? Last thing we want is, a go to market, and then next thing you know, within the first, short little while, we have a security breach or an issue that just derails everything completely. So I would prefer to have, security at the highest level as well, especially, to Ty's point, we're dealing with other people's funds at this point too.
Yeah, the worst thing you can do is lose other people's money. We don't want to do
Oh,
that.
yeah. If it's my money, that's my problem. But if we lose other people's money, I would feel terrible doing that.
Yeah.
And I think we have to do it regardless of the cost. If we get a break on the cost, then that's a break
Agreed.
for us. Even if it's double, we still have to just take it on the chin and go ahead with it.
Yeah,
for these very reasons that you stated. So okay.
Yeah, I think that's why let's let Amir do his thing once he gets back from vacation. Then let's book a meeting maybe mid to late next week to have this call and understand kind of where we're at. Because I was talking to Leo too, just about some updates from Khalil's perspective. So I can go through that. But Will, I noticed you unmuted yourself too, so I don't want to cut you off. So I'll let you go, and then I can give updates from Khalil's perspective.
Well, that was just to be totally okay and totally agree with you guys. We cannot push forward without putting people's money safely in the system. So we'll have to go with it. But I wonder if it's not the time to have a discussion with Grant and try to see if we can share some of the costs of this audit with the Telcoin network audit, because like $40,000 is basically our whole budget for the year. So I know we have to do it, and of course we're going to do it, but we need to think about what money we will have left then.
Yeah, I think we could try to figure that out too from a budget perspective. Like I know through the year 2 issuance, we were awarded an additional 10 million TEL. I think if we pay for this up front and then we come to terms with the platform or Treasury Council to provide us with more of a budget to continue progress throughout this year, I think we can discuss that at a later date and shouldn't be a problem. I think as long as we have the funds to pay for what we need to get done, let's just keep the ball rolling so that we try not to keep pushing things out to another period. I know the goal is to try to get things ready for July 5th with all 3 essentially of these new pools, but we can't really do that until we have all these audits complete and ready to go.
Yeah, I think Grant was mentioned he was having a meeting last week, or maybe beginning of this week, with, it might have been the Platform and Treasury Council. I don't know what meeting he was referring to, that he was going to bring up the topic of the shared expense with regard to these audits. So we may get a break on that as well. I don't know if you've heard anything back from Grant on that, but yeah, I think a meeting, I'm hopeful. Amir's done the development fairly promptly, and the auditors have gotten on board fairly promptly, and they've raised the issues, and Amir says he'll have them fixed by the end of the week. So we've got a lot of momentum happening with regard to this. So hopefully refixing the issues, resubmitting it for an audit should be a fairly short process. So we're raising it now as a concern, but not a red flag. I don't think it affects the date too much, unless Uktu or anybody has serious concerns over what we're trying to do, and then we have to relook at the design. But if there are no issues and they just need to be fixed and re-audited, then I can't see that being a major delay.
No, I think you can probably anticipate 2 to 3 weeks from now, and so that would put us towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
but that's reasonable, and it's still and there's no, if we have to shift timelines to the right a bit, we do that for the sake of security and protection, and that's all warranted. There's still plenty of liquidity in our pools right now. We want to incentivize pools, more sleeker, more effective pools going forward, and get sort of on Uniswap and whatnot, but and have all that represented on the TELx website, and all that's going to come to fruition with some diligence and some patience. We'll get there and make sure that it's done securely, so that we don't have a massive blow up that would prevent people from trusting our system. We haven't had any breaches of our smart contracts on TELx to date, and we certainly don't want to start now.
Totally agree.
Right.
If we're gonna do something from the beginning, let's do it the right way, in my opinion. So, if it does take a little bit longer, I think everybody's a little bit down on that, just because I think we were excited about getting things going. But at the end of the day, let's do what's right for the longevity of the protocol and the ecosystem as a whole. So, okay.
I can see that binary code. Sorry, so someone's asking to speak in the chat. Binary code, maybe we can invite him.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi guys, I'm Utku from Telcoin.
Speak of the devil, here he is.
Yes, I was listening you guys, so would like to give some kind of details about why we would like to do the second audit. So I think the one audit is great, but that kind of critical project, we definitely want to eliminate all kind of risk if possible. Like the good thing is that nothing is in the production. We are doing the audit before we go into production, and we got some feedback from our auditors, and Amir is right now working to fix on that. So we agreed on that with Amir, and we said that we should definitely get another audit from another auditors as another perspective, as a best practice in the market, because this developed and deployed smart contract will be managed to real value. So that's why without too much delay, we definitely wanted to get another audit. That's why we definitely wanted to share with you guys. It's not a super common too, but it's normally common to get another audit. Normally, you also get another audit after you make some kind of big functional change, or if there is any kind of vulnerability or any kind of potential vulnerability you see as in the smart contract. But in this case, we believe this smart contract is going to be critical. That's why we definitely wanted to get another audit to reduce any kind of risk, I believe.
So, Utku, are you suggesting we get a secondary audit from another firm, like not Cantina?
No, we can use Cantina because Cantina has a huge auditor pool, but we should get another audit from different auditors in that company.
So like a fresh perspective.
Fresh, exactly.
Okay.
Because we will definitely fix any findings, like any medium, high critical findings, no doubt on that. But another auditor might be it's kind of a puzzle solving. It's kind of a chess game, and he might have some kind of another perspective on the vulnerabilities or potential vulnerabilities. They are thinking on that. So.
Okay,
but after the audit, hopefully there will be any kind of showstopper, I can say.
Okay, and from a cost perspective, the expectation on a secondary audit like this, would it be similar to what the first audit is, or?
I think so, because the code line is going to be the same.
Okay.
And so the timeline probably is also going to be the same. So.
Okay, so 2.5 days or whatever it was. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming up. Does anybody have any questions for Utku?
Yeah, I do. Real quickly, Utku, what would be the earliest we could start that process or kick off that audit? Is it still looking 2 to 3 weeks out?
And I can definitely talk with Amir. Right now, he is fixing the current findings. but probably it's a realistic timeline, I can say.
Okay. Yeah, even just to give you guys a high level too, before I jump into the details from Leo about Khalil and the website stuff. But Khalil said that it's going to take probably 8 to 10 working days once he gets some information from Amir. So we're talking 2 weeks. So if things get going early next week, the audit gets done, everything is clear before the end of next week, and Khalil essentially gets what he needs by, let's call it the 23rd. Like, we're looking at finishing up what he needs to do, June 2nd to June 4th, and that period starts on the 5th. So we're talking about a really tight timeline here.
Yeah, we're talking about July. Yeah, and so I think that's unlikely that we'll hit that July 5th window, but I think I would that's my speculation.
Yeah, I would err on the side of caution too. Like, again, if we have to push it out another period, it is what it is. And like, again, not gonna lie, not that I like holding rewards back, but at least another month of rewards, staying in the safe helps us with this auditing costing as well.
Yeah, true.
Good.
Okay.
Very useful. Thanks, Uktu, for jumping in like that.
Yeah, appreciate that, Uktu. Thanks for jumping in.
Any other questions for Uktu?
No, I don't
Nope,
think so.
Okay, all right. I was just going to say, I'll jump into the comments that Leo provided from Khalil, just on the website stuff. So current progress, there's 3 things, I guess, that they were kind of looking at. The app router migration, so that's been successfully completed and deployed to production. 2, multi-chain support, which for now is going to be base network, obviously, with the TELx IPs that we've already passed. So the chain switch feature has been implemented, so Polygon to base and base to Polygon in the wallet sidebar, so that's good. Contract deployed pending. So again, this is Amir is currently on holidays. We know data fetching logic for base will be finalized once he deploys contracts and provides APIs. And then the chain specific data can sync. So the stack pools and rewards and all that stuff will follow the contract integration. So essentially next steps are to complete the base network data logic upon receiving those contract details, and then internal testing before production deployment. So like I said too, in terms of timing, once Amir deploys the base contracts, Khalil believes the full integration will take about 8 to 10 working days, and he'll do his best to get it completed as quickly as possible. But again, I think let's take our time and make sure that everything is done properly. And if we don't hit that July 5th timeline, then the August 5th timeline at the start of the next period is fine enough too.
Can I just ask the multi-chain support, Andrew? Do you have
Yep.
any kind of visibility as to how that functions? If a user connects his Polygon wallet, say MetaMask, which is multi-chain, to TELx, and uses PolyTel, does that automatically convert it to base TEL in his wallet? Or
No. What it's going to be is more just like the functionality to switch from different chains. So like, if you're on, say, like Uniswap and you go from Polygon to Ethereum, like you'll get like a notice that says, hey, you're switching networks. Are you sure you want to do this kind of thing? Again, This is my understanding. It's not going to bridge your TEL or anything like that. Yeah, right. You'll need to bridge TEL from Poly or Ethereum to base in order to provide liquidity on Uniswap on base to then take those the NFT to then stake it on TELx to then start claiming rewards. So it's more of just like a network switching function, just to make sure that you're on the right network.
Right, thanks. Yeah. No, when you mentioned the word bridge, I thought, oh, maybe it's a little bit more sophisticated than that. But no, I understand what you're saying. Thanks for.
Yeah, no, I think that's more of like the Axelar protocol stuff where that will come into play, and maybe we'll touch base with Grant once things slow maybe a little bit down with the Telcoin network kind of deployment stuff to see where we're at with Axelar and whatnot. But from my understanding, it's more just on the network and making sure that you're on the proper network and connected to that within the TELx website.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any questions from the council on the website? No.
I'm
Okay.
good. It's pretty clear to me. Thanks.
Okay. I did notice too on the agenda we're talking snapshots. So I just pulled them up. The TXIP for obviously eMexican passed. It officially ended on June 3rd with a 6-0 passing. And then we currently have the audit, which likely once we get an update from Cantina on the secondary audit, we'll likely have to put another one together. So this will be, I think, pretty straightforward. But this was created June 6th, ending June 13th at 9:01 a.m. on Eastern time. But so far, we've already got everybody voted, and everybody has voted for. So all good to go on the TELx IP snapshots for the pool and for the audit spending.
Great. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I was the last.
Did we lose you there, Ty? You still there? We may have lost him. Okay, everybody can still hear me?
I can hear you now.
I can hear Ty now. Can you guys hear me okay?
I
Yep.
hear you.
Yep.
Okay.
Little glitch.
Discord. What a lovely platform. Okay. So I think we talked
The
about
missing rewards.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. Yeah. So I did talk to Amir. That was also published and airdropped on June 3rd. So for anybody that wants to see the transaction hashes, they're all in the TELx pool tips Telegram. If you do want to see it for whatever pool you were in, again, I can send it to you just if you send me a DM, or maybe what I'll do is I could put out a tweet about it, or a post, whatever they're called nowadays, on X, just with that information as well. But those 3 or 4 days that we had missed rewards, so that has all been pushed out, and Amir had finished that last week.
Okay, good. Any questions on the rewards? No. Okay. Powering through the agenda today. Thank you. Budget management. Now, we kind of briefly touched on this last meeting, and Andrew posted his spreadsheet, but just as an image, I think. Was it a doc? I'm not sure. That prompted me to ask Leo if we could have a folder, a shared folder for council-specific documents, so that we could use, for instance, a shared spreadsheet like the budget one to all access. These hadn't been set up, but subsequently, I think I recall I got an email from Leo saying that the folders were in place. Did somebody test access? I think I saw a reply, but I can't remember who from.
Yeah, I was able to get access to it. I never really played around with it too much, but yeah, I think all the folders are set up on the Google shared drive. We would just need to populate it with whatever we need to. So I can put that Excel document that I put together for the budget in there. But yeah, I think more of what we were talking about last time was more like how do we manage the budget as opposed to where the information is stored. But I still don't know if we can figure that out on today's call and what we do. But from my understanding, we have authority to do whatever we deem necessary. But to
Yeah.
Will's comment too about what's going on with access to the safe. Like, we technically don't have that yet. Everything will still be facilitated through the TAO until they can get that sorted out. But in talking to Grant too, he mentioned that that's likely, not a priority until the fall. So obviously with the network kind of, taking precedence, which it should, this can stay on the back burner in terms of access for now. And if we do deem that we want to sell anything or move anything, then we would just have to give guidance to the TAO to facilitate that for us and take it from there.
Yeah. So let's talk about the budget. I floated the idea of trying to hedge or use some of the liquidity pools and fund that with some of our budget, primarily because I thought we could get a good return, and also I think it's lead by example sort of thing. There was some resistance to that idea, which I accept. We don't really want to be taking any chances with what effectively is not our own personal funds. So I don't know if we want to discuss that further here now. I still think it's a good idea, but who would manage it? Well, my idea of having the always in range hook would make that more or less automatic. So it's not really falling to anybody to keep the funds or keep the position in range and manage the position. It would be a decision that we as a council would make to provide X amount of funds into it and have it automatically managed by one of the tools that we're proposing we use. But let's talk about that openly and see if we can reach get people's feelings known on the subject.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit last time too, is to not maybe get too complicated with it initially as we kind of go through, our first, formal year of having a budget and actually spending stuff. Let's try to keep it simple, I would think. Whether or not we want to put some funds into maybe, stablecoin pool just to, lower volatility from that perspective too. But at that point, we're still selling TEL in order to, potentially fund, the Mexican USDC. Again, we started off with 10 million with the deprecation of TEL, BAL, and DFX. Like, that's essentially another 5.5 million. If we do go into, delayed another month, and we're going into August now when these pools continue, essentially that's another 5.5, pushing us over 20 essentially for the year. And looking at an updated budget based off of that picture that I posted and the current price, from 2 weeks ago, we're actually saving about 600,000 TEL just from the price appreciation over the last couple of days. So with everything included right now, which does include that first audit for Cantina, that's about 5.4 million TEL. So if we have to dish out another 4 million, roughly, right, that'll get us, close to 10, and potentially we'll have another 10 million towards the rest of the year as a budget without technically doing anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's quite positive, isn't it?
It provides us a little bit more flexibility for sure. I know it doesn't necessarily answer your question, Ty, on what we potentially can do. It does provide flexibility and broaden the scope of what we can do with that budget. But whether or not we want to try to time the market or put potential price targets where we sell a certain amount to a stable coin to try to hedge, like you said. Again, my just biggest concern is, how do we determine that as a group, as a community? Where do we set those targets? What percentages do we allocate to those targets? What is the cap on, potential stable coin equivalents that we can hold?
And I think there's a couple of key things that pop into my mind immediately. Is that we're on the verge, and this is not financial advice, folks, but we all know we're on the verge of some major releases which should have a market impact. And so selling TEL now, I think, would be a bad idea. Also, we've got new elections coming up in a few months. There may be a shift in the membership of the council. Who knows what the community feel, whether we've been doing a good job or whether we've been wasting everybody's time. We may not be the same group. So I would say we'll just make the decisions on spending as a group up until the end of the year, and then the new council can debate what happens once all these releases in the market stabilizes, hopefully. So that would be my feeling, and that's the reasons why not do anything for the rest of this year and just allocate the money when we need it, when we think it's prudent to pay bills, and just leave it like that. Keep it simple, as you say, Andrew. Anybody else?
Yeah, if I may,
I would agree with that
think
as well.
For the time being, it's very impractical to try and manage our safe ourselves. So we're supposed to go through the TAO to do anything, and I guess participating in the liquidity pools is you must be active on your position. So well, I guess we would have to call the TAO every time we go out of range and we want to rebalance or something like that. And so it feels impractical to me. So I say I'm with Andrew on this, and I say let's just sell TEL when we have to pay bills at the time of the bill when it is supposed to be paid, and not try to time the market, because we all will have a different opinion on when's the top on or whatnot, and it will be very difficult to get along. So I say let's just spend the TEL when we need to, and that's it. And on another note, if we want to think about some kind of edging on the wallet, we could vote, for example, that we should keep, let's say, 10% or 20% of our wallet's dollar value in stable coins, for example, and then we can start going in liquidity pools with those stable coins. And we could decide something like this, and let's say every month or every 2 months, look at the new wallet dollar value and adjust to make it 10% stable coins, and that would be an easy way to manage it with consensus, I guess. That's it for me.
Thanks, Will. Matt?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I think we've talked about this before too, about whenever, year 3 allocation does come around, we agree, I think, loosely on kind of like a 10% as what our, budget would be based on whatever our allocation is. So I know year 2, we were allocated 200 plus the additional 10. If that stays consistent for year 3 at, say, 200, essentially that would put our budget at 20 million TEL. And I think obviously in the early goings with all these audits and adjustments that we're making, like these are probably the early years where we're going to be probably spending, a little bit more on infrastructure and stuff like that. Not to say that, we won't be spending down the road, but usually at the beginning when we're making these changes to, the pools, these audits, the UX UI on the website, implementing analytics and all that kind of stuff, like those are probably going to be a little bit more cost prohibitive, up front, as opposed to down the road where it's more a maintenance perspective. But I would say, yeah, let's just continue to spend as we need it and try to, save as we can here and there. And maybe as the year goes on, or even into year 3, if we need to adjust the rewards per pool down from 2.78 to that 2.4 number, again, that little bit every month does help towards the budget as well.
Yeah. Matt, any final comments, or Mike?
No, none for me. I agree with. I was just going back to Ty what you were saying before, and I'm in agreement with the timeline and the proposal to just kind of let things run their course for the time being, but reassess things post elections.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Mike?
agree with that. I think it's a bit much to try to take on treasury management decisions when we're still just trying to figure out how to get to some of our first endpoints with the TELx improvements. So I think it's okay to table that for future discussion.
Okay, so we're all in agreement that we'll really just manage the budget as need be for the time being for the rest of this year, and park any further discussion on how to better manage the funds. So effectively, we can drop this item from the agenda for next time and just deal with spend as and when it appears on the I was going to say balance sheet, but on the horizon, really. Is everybody in agreement with that? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, I see a comment from BZ as well. Just optics wise, there were some overall concerns raised, especially from retail investors. Like for me, again, like we're talking, 20 grand at this point. I don't think that's gonna, move the market or the TEL price, so to speak, from a retail perspective when we have to pay for stuff.
Right.
Again, like we're not spending $500,000 on something. At least I don't think we will, or at least hopefully we don't. Like that sounds like more of a listing kind of thing if you're paying that much, or the audits that the Telcoin network at the onset has to pay for. So I think those dollar spends are not going to move the needle too much, regardless of what the price of TEL is at, right? So it's all going to be based on USD, and if an audit costs 20 grand, like that's not going to move the needle too much, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Oh,
You know.
BZ's requested to speak. Oh, he's taking that off, has he?
I think I invited him up. Oh, yeah, yeah, we can hear you, buddy.
BZ.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think maybe the way that it's worded maybe doesn't sound the best. Like, again, I don't think we're trying to hedge losses. I think what the goal is try to stretch out the budget. Like, if we look at it in those terms, like that is the goal. How do we start with the budget and stretch it to get as much done as possible? And I think that's why Ty brought it up, to see if there's a way that, again, whatever happens in the market, we know crypto is a very volatile market compared to traditional financial markets. So, just thinking outside the box on what we could potentially do to stretch that budget as far and as wide as possible. Not a problem.
Thanks, BZ. Well, that's a nice link to the next item on the agenda, which is any open questions and answers from the audience.
Not seeing any in the comments. I think we're okay.
Anything from the wider audience, BZ? None from the stream. Okay, thank you. Just before we close, I've just realised Dune Analytics. Andrew, do you want to give us a quick update on where we are with that?
Yes, I was talking to Leo about that as well. After some discussion, it looks like the round 2, version 2, is kind of ready to go. So I'll touch base with him, and I think we can get that live and going. Just bear in mind, it's again, like it's pretty novel at this point. I think the end goal at the end of the day is to use Dune or something like that as kind of the data center to where we can then implement, a more formal analytics page onto the TELx website that'll have a lot better UX UI. So looking at the Dune page now, it's, probably 18, 24 months of data that's in there. But at least we have that building block and that foundation that we're building so that we can utilize it and manipulate it a little bit more depending on what the user wants to look at down the road. So I'll talk to Leo. Yes. Well, again, for now, until we start looking at different things, because now, again, we've got different pools. We've got to think about the pools that we're deprecating and how does that look and how does that work. Again, I think we still want to probably track the data from that perspective, but maybe from like a more UX UI on TELx, we'll probably have say quote unquote active pools. And then deprecated pools or archived pools, and then you can still track and follow the data from that perspective as well. But as of right now, we really only have those 4 pools until we get Uniswap going.
Yeah, so wrap it as a beta release for feedback and just general look and feel, and just get some user feedback.
More just on like the metrics and the data that we're following too. If there's anything else that people want to see, review, evaluate in terms of making decisions to provide liquidity to TELx, then we could always add different metrics and data points to follow. It's a very basic thing from Dune, but for me, like I want something a little bit more higher level, more intuitive, where you can say like, okay, I want to, look at this data point versus that data point for this specific pool and based on this specific time frame. Like I want to be able to dive into it at that granular level, but you can't really do that with the Dune stuff. It's more of like, okay, well, here's the liquidity for TELx, and then you can kind of manipulate and pick kind of which pool to look at. And I think you have to have access or an account on Dune in order to filter the dates and stuff like that. So again, not the most user-friendly, but at least it'll be able to provide some kind of higher level holistic view of the data points and sets that we have. Again, I'll continue pushing out my daily updates and stuff like that until we can get the website up and ready to go. But until then, we'll just continue pushing forward with what we got.
Okay, great. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, no problem.
Any more from anyone else?
All good here.
None from the stream as well. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good as well.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Our next meeting scheduled for June the 25th. We'll speak again then. Thanks, everybody, for your time this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
That's all for me. Bye, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye
Thanks.
now.
Bye.
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 look at ourselves as the bridge between the traditional financial and the crypto world. So that's why we want to be the bank and issue stablecoin bank accounts directly out of your stablecoin. We all know about the breadth and scale of NWC, 100,000 attendees globally with phenomenal success. But I think it's the content and the engagement, the energy, which is vibrant, ebullious. But I think it's a melting pot of corporates, telecom, startups, especially this 4 years from now, where you have investors, startups, corporate, cutting edge technology providers all under the same roof. That's phenomenal. We love it here.
We're wrapping up shop here at MWC 2025. It's been a super productive conference. We networked with a ton of mobile network operators, and the booth generated a ton of interest. So that's it for now. We'll see you at the next conference.